When my mother got back home that afternoon, I never told her. I just left my daughter there because she was looking after her for me while I went to work. And I went to work, and then when I finished work, I just stayed in my car for the night. And I was sort of hanging around Capalaba at the time when I ran into a guy that I knew, another detective actually, but he was retired. And he had a house at Alexandra Hills, and he said, "Oh, look, Loretta, if you want to come and live with me, you do the housework, keep the house clean and tidy, maybe cook me a meal once or twice a week, and, you can live there, save some money, get on your feet." And I thought, yeah, right, great, thanks, mate, I will. And he had a lovely house. He had a lovely big swimming pool and a big bar and everything out the back. But he also had this friend he was just such a funny guy, and every minute of this guy's life, he lived it to the fullest, and he enjoyed life. And practical joker. He rang Ben one day. He knew Ben wasn't going to be there, and he rang the house, and he said, "Oh, Loretta, can you tell Ben that I'm broken down in Bundaberg?" So that's about 4.5 hours out of Brisbane. "Can he come and get me? I'm in such and such a pub. Let him know when he gets home." And I went, righto. So Ben got home. I told him. So Ben jumps in the car and goes all the way up there. But not long after Ben left, this guy ended up at the house, and he said, I got rid of him. Ben drove all the way to Bundaberg, rang when he got to Bundaberg and said, "Loretta, what pub was he in?" So this guy did it on purpose. He was waiting around the corner to make sure Ben left. That was just what he was. And I remember one day he put an ad in the paper for Ben's house to be up for sale for a very cheap price. Open house, come and have a look. And I was only the one at home, and all these people were coming in to have a look at the house, and I'm saying, well, I don't know whether it's... I haven't been told the house is up for sale, but Ben wasn't home. This was just the way this guy lived his life. It was so funny. But anyway, Ben had a double garage on the house, and what he'd done one day was took the roller door off and put glass doors in there. And he was having a party but Ben was supposed to be there, but he wasn't there. So all these guests come to have this party, but Ben wasn't there. We're all waiting for him to come home. But Ben was down in the pub, and of course all these guys were coppers. And next thing we hear this crash, bang. The coppers are out over the fence, and they're running through the house. They thought there was a car accident somewhere. And then they come back and go, "What's going on? Nothing's around." But what Ben had done, he'd come home from the pub pissed, forgot that he'd taken the roller door off and put glass doors there, and thought the roller door was open and just drove straight through and was passed out in the garage. And then I met this other young guy, and I knew him from when I used to work in the hotel, only a little bit. I didn't know him very well from when I worked in the Capalaba Tavern. But we ran into each other, and he asked me if I'd, go out for dinner and different things. So, yeah, I did. And then we'd gone out for a little while together, and then he asked me if I would attend a family function with him. And I said, yeah, and he said, "Now I want you to really dress nice." I always dress anyway, but he said, "I want you to really dress nice." And okay. So what kind of function? He said, "Just a family function." So I got all dressed up in a really nice white fitted short dress and that. Hair done, makeup done, everything. We went to a bloody family barbecue, which was fine by me. And he just sat me off into the corner. "You sit over here." Didn't want me to talk to anybody. Just wanted to show me off as though, "Oh, look who I'm with." And I don't mind being shown off by anybody. Actually, it's quite nice to be shown off by somebody. But when you're just shoved in a corner and just told to sit there, you're not allowed to mingle with anybody. All you're allowed to do is sit there. Well, everybody else is in shorts and thongs and everything. Just sit there like this bloody trophy. Was not impressed with that. So we continued on going out together for a bit longer, but it was coming up to Christmas. And yes, I did have a position at the Manning Hotel where I was working in Brisbane, but I was contacted by somebody from one of the islands off Townsville who asked me if I would go and work for them over Christmas period and let a couple of their staff were going to be home. It was at a resort on one of the islands. Big money, and I said yes, I would go and do it. So I left my daughter with my sister. I paid her to look after it, and she did. And this guy was not happy about me not being away home for Christmas and with him over Christmas. I said, well, I need to go and earn the money. I'm leaving my daughter over Christmas, which was the hardest thing for me. But she was still young. Yes, she knew what Christmas was, but I went. I needed to get us back on our feet. So I went away over Christmas. So when I was coming back, I contacted him when I got back on the mainland at Townsville and said, I'm on my way, I'm flying down. And he said, well, I want to see you. You come straight here to me. And I said, well, no, I'm not. I'm going to see my daughter. I'm going to my sister's first. I haven't seen my daughter all over Christmas, and I'm going to see my daughter. Well, he was not happy about that. I said, you can meet me at my sister's at whatever time in a couple of hours. And now he only had a ute. So he got there. My daughter and I came out. I put my daughter in the car in between the two of us. I no sooner got in the car and closed the door when he reached over and he grabbed out of the glove box a handgun. But apparently it was a replica, but I didn't know that at that time. And he shoved it in my face in front of my daughter and said, marry me or else. So I opened the door, I dragged my daughter out of the car and put her behind me. And I said, well, you just answered that question for me, buddy. And I said to my daughter, you run inside as fast as you can go. And she ran off inside. And I just turned my back on him and I walked very slowly into the house, away from him, not knowing whether he was going to put a bullet in my back or not. And then I got inside and I rang one of his friends and I said, he's lost it. I think he'll be on his way over to you now. You need to calm him down. So this guy went off the rails for a bit. He did have a very hot temper, and I did kind of know that when I started seeing him, because Ben knew him as well, and Ben had said to me, be very careful, he's very hot-headed. But me, I take everybody on face value and how they treat me. I don't listen to rumours. But I knew I was safe with Ben because this guy was not game enough to come around there. But Ben eventually showed his true colours too. I'd settled back into work, and then Ben thought he had the right for favours, if you know what it means. And that wasn't what I was looking for again. But by this time I'd saved up enough money to rent a house. So I rented a 3-acre property just outside of Capalaba, and I moved in there to live.